goes against him, right? Benin have been.
You're welcome back. You're still on the Political Talk. It's now time to introduce you to my guest in the studio. I have Diro Odeyemi to my immediate left. Good to have you again on this platform.
Thank you very much for bringing me on.
Yes, and he is also a public affairs analyst.
Yes.
Great to be here. And of course, Comrade Omololu Ejidero, also a public affairs analyst. Good to have you on this platform.
He's only a player cool.
Okay, let me start off this way. You know, May 29 has been declared safe by the federal government for many people who wants to come into Nigeria as world leaders. And let me start off with Diro here. What do we make out of all of this when the government, for instance, is assuring world leaders that you can come into Nigeria is safe, and we're not disclosing some of our measures and our policies because we believe that the opposition here, which quote and unquote is everybody knows is PDP, for instance, is planning to sabotage everything. You know, what do you make out of all of this itself?
For the mere fact that the federal government is assuring world leaders that they are safe in Nigeria shows that there has been talks before now that there is no safety in Nigeria. Why do you need to assure somebody if in their own way they have a means of verifying whether it is safe for them to come or not? There has been instances where these embassies and these foreign missions have warned their citizens not to visit Nigeria at this particular time. And if other nations are giving warning to their citizens that Nigeria is not safe for them, I wonder how the leaders will not be concerned about their own safety if they are coming for the swearing in of a government that has not protected the citizens.
But ordinarily, don't you think, as a matter of fact, that they would know? Because if you look at the international media,
yes,
they are allowed into Nigeria to do all sort of reporting itself. So obviously they would be aware, and of course they have diplomatic mission like
exactly.
you talked about.
Yes.
They are aware of what is going on in the country. Ordinarily,
yes,
they know, the federal government know, as a matter of fact, that these issues are not far away from the public glare.
Yes.
So it's easier for them to know all of this. But the assurance here, it's what I'm really looking at.
Yes.
You know, for them to put up this assurance, and we do not get this kind of assurance coming from the government to the citizens that you're safe now to come to Borno State. You're safe now to go to Jos.
Abuja.
Yes, Abuja. How come we're having all of this coming out? And the government also said we are not disclosing our measures because we have an authority, we have an information that the opposition is planning to sabotage the whole system itself.
You have answered the whole question, and you have brought out the issue, and you have answered it in a way because anybody listening to you will know there are issues concerning security in this country. The government is not shying away from it, they are not running away from it. For the mere fact that they are coming out to give reassurance means they know there is a problem. But to what extent has this problem been solved? That is the issue. If, as at this morning, as I'm talking to you now, even in my own town, in Ibokun, about 2 people were kidnapped yesterday evening. That is in Osun State. Talk less of other states. Talk less of what is happening, you know, in Kaduna, in Zamfara, and other places. Nigeria is not safe, and we don't need to deceive ourselves about that. And if you now want to blame PDP as a political party for your, you know, nonchalant attitude to security of life and property of Nigerians, it's very unfortunate. Even people who could not even conceive now, we put it on PDP, especially if they are from APC. And it's very unfortunate. That is not the issue. The issue is to what extent has this government kept to its promise of protecting the lives and property of an average Nigerian. And this was one of the promises on which Nigerians voted for them in the last administration.
Okay, let me go to Comrade Ejidero. Don't you think, as a matter of fact, the PDP has been on governance for past 16 years, and some people want a miracle to happen for the first 4 years of the Buhari administration itself? Logically, do you think this is possible to address the issue of insecurity within 4 years?
You should have known my stand, Cole, that this government promised us. President Muhammadu Buhari has tried this office 4 consecutive times. And the 4th time, he was so fortunate to win the mandate. And he cannot claim ignorance because we seriously criticize and condemn Jonathan administration for the failure in abysmal security architecture in the country. And APC capitalized on this to campaign to us. Okay? And they claim that, because we all know that almost about 16 local governments were controlled by the Boko Haram insurgents there. And these are the issue on ground. And President Muhammadu Buhari, being a retired general, a military man, which I believe he has the acumen, the strategy on ground to match the insurgent. I believe he's strong.
Is he a messiah?
He's not a messiah, but I believe that that was what we criticized Jonathan for. We believe that Jonathan was not a military man. He does not have the tactics. Maybe he's a novice to military tactics to match with the insurgents. And we believe that being a retired general in the army, who has been to war, who understands the tactics about war, okay, he is the best man to fit in, okay, to combat this menace on ground. And Nigeria strongly believe we voted massively for him, and he came in. But quite unfortunately, the opposite is the case. Now, what should we begin to blame the opposition? The opposition has been ruling for 16 years. No, that is not our concern this time around. What we need is good governance. And you agree with me, Cole. Security is sine qua non to do good governance. Nobody, right to life is one of the primary responsibility of a good government in any
How did
world.
we get here?
Okay.
How did we get to this position itself?
How do we get to which
So
position?
the deteriorating health, security situations in the country itself. How did we emerge here? Why do we have all of this problem?
Now you should know that this issue of security is not a new issue. Okay, how do we get here asking for? It has been in the system, but it's not to this escalating proportion. Okay, because nobody can come out confidently that there's no security challenge since. Even during Baba there was security challenge, but Baba was able to curtail the something doesn't go to the high proportion. And Baba also wanted to strengthen the hands of help to Jonathan then, so that you can correct the issue on ground. But maybe based on the divergence of ideology, it couldn't work out, and the issue brought to the high proportion, which the OPC capitalized on to campaign against Jonathan.
But sincerely thinking, Dino, do you agree that insecurity was tamed by, let me use the word of Comrade Gidiro, by Baba in this instance? Is this something we saw? If it was tamed, how come we are still at this level we are today?
If you Google the number of lives that have been lost during this administration, you will know that they are more than triple when Jonathan was there. And
how do you gauge this? You're talking about what you get online here.
Yes, that's what we get online. I did my research before coming here because I already know the topic we're going to talk about. So what I'm now saying is, if you look at the number of deaths that have been recorded through insurgency, through Boko Haram, through kidnapping, through all this, they are more than triple when Jonathan was there. How do we get there? We get here because, number one, if you look at the administration of Buhari now, you will know that Nigerians have been saying it. If you are not getting the result of providing security for Nigeria, what takes you to change your security security chiefs? Why are you still retaining them if after 4 years nothing is being done? You said publicly that you gave an instruction to the Inspector General of Police and it was not being obeyed. Yet that Inspector General of Police was still there. If you are now saying that even in your own local government, in your own domain, the head of your clan and the wife of your security officer was kidnapped, and there is nothing you are doing as an head of state, and we are saying that you are assuring other national leaders that Nigeria is safe. We are here because, one, lack of education. Imagine the simple eclipse of the sun and the moon happening in the north and being misinterpreted as it's because some people are Christians or because some people are committing crime, so they start slaughtering people because of that. That is insane. Very apology for using that language. That is lack of education, because if you are educated, you know that in geography, simple eclipse of the moon is just a natural occurrence that is bound to happen at any point in time. And why will you now say because you are a Muslim you cannot look at it recently? There is a ban on eating in the afternoon simply because there is a Ramadan. Is that right, for God's sake? Are you now saying all the people who are in Kaduna, all the people who are in Zamfara must obey the fasting. That is not right. I take it as part of education. That's number one. Number two, unemployment. In the north, the way and manner the leadership controls the Almanjiri is quite different from the way we do it in the southwest. In the southwest, you can tell your brother, go and vote for ABC, and he will tell you, no, I believe in PDP. But in the north, what they do is, this is the person you are going to vote for, and everybody moves in. That is lack of education, lack of unemployment.
But doesn't it?
But to what extent does this government try to?
That very point that you made, doesn't it boil down to the issue of the colonial period? Because we know, as a matter of fact, that this really worked out. Looking at the system of administration being run then, did not appears to be politically organized than even the Southwesterners and the South here. And you have the Igbos not really having a coordinated system itself. But doesn't it boil down to the days of the colonial period? Isn't not some of the problems you're having till today?
No.
Some of this rot in the system.
No, I've just said it now. If you look at the situation we have found ourselves now, it wasn't as bad as this during Jonathan. It's only that when you have not tried a house, you will know which husband is better. That is the language. Now people are now saying that even in Jonathan's era, things are not as worse as this. So taking it back to the colonial era, you are taking it too far.
But really, when you see all of this, let me come down to Comrade Gideon. Let me just pick it up from where Jiron actually stopped here. He's talking about the fact that things were not this bad. But we know that, as a matter of fact, when this administration came on board, it unveiled a lot of corruption, in terms of, monies meant for catches of arms going into personal pockets. And we had the likes of Dansaki, for instance, going to court, answering questions for all of these issues. Sambo here. When you put all of this together and Dimo comes up to say that it was not as bad as this, is it the true picture of things?
Sometimes I will not be glad to begin to compare statistics of those who died during Jonathan time with Muhammadu Buhari administration. It will amount to being callous if you are comparing statistics of death of those who died Jonathan time, which ones surpass each other, because life is so precious.
So you are not agreeing 100% with what Jiron is saying?
No, Cole, hold on. Now, what I'm trying to express is that I share the feeling, what is the point is looking at, but I will not like us to begin to compare the statistics of those who died during Jonathan time and Buhari time. Okay, life is so precious. Life should be valued. No, now to begin to compare the statistics, because this is one of the points this administration was raising some time ago, that the number of people who died during Jonathan time exceeds their own administration. I consider it too childish, immature, to begin to compare the statistics. I wonder when the government official come out with some kind of statement on here telling us that the number of people who died during their own time cannot be compared with Jonathan time. That is very, very wrong. And I make my stand today, whoever may be responsible for that statement should please apologize to the whole entire country. Now, we should not be going to compare life as if we are counting the life of ordinary poultry farm. Even if you are rearing poultry, and you suddenly
what should have been done in that instance when you talk about not comparing
statistics of deaths of those?
Yes, exactly. What should they be looking at to gauge the assessment?
Now, they should be. What you should know is this, Cole. Now, what should be done is that they should look at the area like a reshuffling the chief security of the officer who are not delivering. The purpose of them setting up is when you appoint somebody, you are here working in this place. It's because you deliver. Okay? That is why you are here. We are here indeed because we deliver also. Now, if you are upon somebody to work for me, and that person is not giving me the expectation, it's not working to my expectation, the next thing I do, I sack him. I look for those who are productive, those who are creative, those who are innovative, who can give me a good idea, who can give me a way forward.
Are we saying,
I don't keep them perpetually there when the life of innocent Nigeria are being wasted on a daily basis. For God's sake.
Are we saying that the service chiefs and the security heads that we have in the country have failed? Is that a judgment you're passing? Abysmal security as they are failed. Look at it. The most of those who are appointed
into the most key officer in the security aspect of the country, they are from the north. I'm not against that, but although it's a violation of federal characters, we should know that for quite understandable. It's violation when you are appointing to the federal office, you obey the federal character. But notwithstanding, if you have appointed people from the north and the same particular region are facing security problem, it should be questioned. It give me concern on daily basis. Let me be frank with you today. If you are listening to me, listen to me. If you are appointing me to be working a place and I could not deliver, it does not add to my profile. It shocked me. I will have to resign in a Senate line in an advanced society. You resign willingly that I fail because I've disappointed my country.
Let's also look at the architecture of our security apparatus itself.
Okay.
Do they even have the facilities to work with here? We're not talking about money. Of course, I talked about the issue of corruption. I raised the fact that this administration unveiled several corruption within the armed deal itself that we have in the country itself. When you look at all of this, do we begin to blame the service chief or the system that are in a way that they've noticed corruption and the rest of it in it?
I'm happy that you mentioned the fact that, that at a point in time, during PDP time, Dasuki was being accused of diverting funds meant for stopping these insurgents. Well, I want to make a point on this, and I want Nigerians to know this. And the point I want to make is, we have been talking about Dasuki since all these days. Where is Dasuki? Why has the federal government refused to bring him up into the court or into the public arena for him to speak out and say and tell us how many people have benefited from this arms deal? Of all the money that they said they have allocated for arms deal or for stopping these insurgents, to what extent this administration now, to what extent are they putting it to use? There was a time they said they wanted 365 billion naira within 6 months, telling us that technically they have defeated Boko Haram. Technically, mark my word. Now, with what is happening today, what happened to the fund they collected? What happened to it?
But nobody
Are Nigerians asking questions?
But nobody has written any petition to
No, I'm not saying it. I'm saying it now, and Nigerians are listening. To what extent have we asked question? That billion that you collected, that you were going, which more or less will replace whatever you are accusing Dasuki of. To what extent have you put it to use to stop the insurgents now? Now all the money you said you have collected, both from the coffin, from the Sokewe, from this building and everything. Where are the money? To what extent have you put it to use for Nigerians? What is the accountability? And we are talking that this administration.
But does that justify the past administration before this came on board?
I'm not talking of justification there. I'm not talking of justification there. What I'm saying is, this administration is not better than PDP. It's not better than Jonathan's administration. So if you now come on the premises that you are here to change things, if you are now coming on the premises that you are taking us to the next level, where are we? We need to decide. We need to ask this question. Where are we?
But really, if you say they are not better off, we know for an instance that the president went to the United Kingdom and somehow a kind of talk filtered out that we are fantastically corrupt in the country itself. When you hear all of this, it means that it didn't start from this present administration. It's been on for a very long time. Do you think, if we have to be sincere, that just 4 years could sanitize, could make Nigeria better off, looking at corporate organizations and looking at even public service? Because if I could even flash back your mind to Kenny Martin's, the police equipment fund here, it was during the PDP government, and so many monies went under the carpet here, which is meant for police equipment. When you have all of this, can one man, for instance, handle all of this within 4 years? If
he is not able to handle it, the next thing is to tell Nigerians, I'm not able to perform, I want to resign. If you are now saying within 4 years, I've continued to ask that question. If you are fighting corruption, how many big men, how many Nigerians have been jailed, for corruptly enriching themselves? What we see in Nigeria is, if you are corrupt, it's because you belong to this political party. And once you have been accused of corruption, The moment
But
you
we've
join
seen
the other
Bode
political
George-
party,
We've seen Bode George go to prison.
Bode George is a PDP. What I'm now saying is, look at other people, other governors.
In
Who
Yemen,
are who,
Jolly Yame too has gone to prison too. We have Darie
and
too.
Darie.
Yes. They've
four.
been to yes.
4 in 4 years.
But do you?
And are you now saying those 4
But
that
have we
are in
seen
jail
that?
are the most corrupt person in this country?
But there's
Is
a
that what you are
precedent
saying?
here. There's a precedent
A
here.
government that wants to fight corruption will start from its own house. We start from APC. We start from people who put that money to sponsor its election. That is when we will believe that we will have sanity in this country. You don't use evil money to fight evil. It's never done. So if Buhari said at the point in time that they had no money to even pay for his form, and now people brought out money to sponsor his election, and because of that he could not probe them, it's Amici only.
But have there been any allegation against?
There have been several allegations. It's only that EFCC is for. It's more or less like a political party now. You use it to witch out whoever is against your party.
But that was the same thing that the other administration, the past administration, was accused of, selective kind of justice here.
That is the question. So where are we in this country?
So Comrade
Who is the
Ejidero-
leader that will bring sanity? Can Buhari bring sanity now? Or is he bringing sanity? That's the question. And that's why we are discussing this. That means we are going nowhere. No security. There is still corruption. Nobody is safe in this country. So where are we?
Okay, the assurance, let's just wrap up. There's the assurance given by the government itself that, you know, what leaders can now come into the country, it is safe. It means that, what is the picture it's painting here? Let me go to Comrade Ejidero. What are we going to be seeing
The world leaders.
on May 29th?
That I tell you, he has spoken well. But let me just say this: the world leaders have sent a note of warning to their citizens several times that they should be very careful. Now, they cannot claim ignorance of what is the security architecture in the country. They are not novice when they come to security architecture in the country. And I even the last time I was on this platform, one of the apologies of this APC ruling was even admitted that this party's ruling government has failed in the security architecture. At the time I was talking with him, he also admitted that he succumbed to me that they have failed woefully when it comes to the security architecture. Now, the one who are coming, they are not novice. I've said they are not novice. They have sent note of warning to their citizens. Now, for the government to be coming, they are safe. I don't see. It's an antithesis. I don't just see anything to be debated about it here. Let's go to the main talk about it.
Okay, gentlemen, but before we move on, October 1st, several years back, we saw a bombing coming up at Eagle Square. That was during our independence, which does not really connote well. Many world leaders who came for that function were very scared. You know, for May 29 is a whole lot. A lot of people are looking forward to having a lot of people come into the country. Whether we like it or not, this would ginger investment, so to say, for some of those who have not been to Nigeria before, because it is a widespread belief that when we have our doors opened to quite a number of foreigners to come in, they'll begin to understand what Nigeria really looks like. How can we tap into the May 29th, for instance? The government has said it's going to be safe to actually boost our economy. Is there going to be a light in that direction? Yes, you could go. You could go ahead.
Can I go ahead?
Yes.
Thank you very much. Cool. Let me ask you as we sit down. Can you invest your resources in a society that is not safe? Can you go ahead, even if you have your life is a first investment? Now, can you invest your time and resources in the situation that is not safe? Now, we should know what is clearing. All these investors, they are profit oriented, and investors study feasibilities before they go into investment. Now, why should we deceive ourselves that an investor is coming to a place because it will be an opportunity for an investor to come and invest? I think it does not sound logical to me. For you to see a security architecture that is abysmal failure and you want to come and invest in that same like.
But we are still living in Nigeria. And we are sitting on the roof.
Yes.
Guns are not pointed at our heads here, and bombs are not running outside.
Yeah.
It means we are still safe in a way. I don't know.
I'm not sure. You see, 2 weeks ago, I was to go to Akure. But when I learned that a professor was kidnapped, even between Ife and Ilesha, I had to stop I had to cancel my, my journey. It's as bad as that. So if as a Nigerian citizen, it's happening to me at a local distance, I wonder, in fact, we will be embarrassed on the 29th of May when all these leaders come with their own security apparatus to be sure that they are safe. That means if at all they are coming, they assure you that they will be coming with their own security apparatus just to secure themselves. And look at it. We are talking of May 29 and, enticing investors. A day is not enough to entice any investor. And as it is now, to what extent have we been able to establish there has been any investor coming into Nigeria in the last 4 years? Many, even in our own country, many privately owned manufacturing companies have become churches. People are unemployed on daily basis simply because nobody can invest in an environment that is not secured both for your property and for your life.
Okay, gentlemen, we just have to move on. Another issue that is on the front burner is the issue of Obasanjo's controversial stance on insecurity. And of course, we had a group that also lambasted Obasanjo on this very development. Let's take what they have to say, and we'll be right back in the studio.
The professional Rapolosa last week alleged that Boko Haram and Moreddin Fulani headsmen are out to Islamize and Fulanize Nigeria and the entire West Africa. Let us immediately point out that he told these insensitive lies at the church service in the southern part of the country, which implies that he fully knows the import of the agenda he is implementing. The first logical deduction is that he wants Christians to take up arms against Muslims by stoking the suspicion that adherents of the latter faith are out to annihilate the former. Secondly, he is pitching the South against the North, which will lead to a death match should Nigerians make the mistake of failing for the old whistle's antics. These concerns are not contentious, neither are they out of proportion. Public discourse is in response to the outrage caused by Obasanjo is already polarized in such an ugly way that we should all be worried about what other damage he plans to inflict on the world polity of Nigeria. This is not the kind of country we want. We are aware that Obasanjo suffers from intermittent depression brought on by his failure of wasted years in office as president that did not do enough to positively impact the life of Nigerians. His depression has been worsened by the direction and focus that President Muhammad Buhari has been able to show Nigerians, as opposed to the lost years that the country has under the People's Democratic Party. It is important that Nigerians do not allow Obasanjo to lead the country into crisis, which is his age-long ambition. We are not strangers to his many failed letters and antics in the run-up to the general elections. How he tried to appropriate even the name of our group in his desperate bid to rally Nigerians behind his destabilization agenda. He took the majority of Nigerians to see through his duplicity at that time. This has now made him to switch to sectarian and ethnic sentiments, knowing that these are the only issues that make Nigerians react with passion instead of logic. He's catching on the weakness of the masses where their religion or ethnicity is concerned in order to plunge the country into a civil war. Nepotism, lack of continuity of policies by successive administrations, and corruption have hindered development.
Gentlemen, you actually listened to that speaker there, and these are organizations, these are a group of CSOs who have come together to actually lambast Obasanjo on the Fulanization and Islamization of the country itself, like Obasanjo has actually said. Do you agree to an extent? This group has said is trying to ensure that the country is divided, and of course the federal government too needs an apology for some of the things Obasanjo said in terms of his belief that the country itself has been Islamized, like he has put together.
First of all, I'm sure you know me to be a journalist, and I can, I can know when there is a fake news. This is like a strategy designed by the Federal Ministry of Information to douse what Obasanjo said. And this is one of the problems we have in this country. Give money to a group of unemployed people, they will abuse their father. Give money to any group to say support Buhari, they will carry placards. Even if Obasanjo is saying the right thing. Obasanjo, of course, is speaking the minds of every Nigerian. As Obasanjo lied that we are not safe in this country. The people who are addressing the press conference, would they say that they are safe?
Let's look at the antecedent of President Obasanjo.
Yes.
If you look at some of the things that he's been saying, even in the past, and some people would say he speaks from the both sides of his mouth. This is someone who had told us at an instant, this person is better for Nigeria. Tomorrow he wakes up in the morning and says this person isn't good. And of course we saw him as an elder statesman coming up to tear his political party membership card under the media watch. When you have all of this, and he actually, the federal government has said this is overheating the polity. Coming from an elder statesman, should he be making this kind of comment at this point in time?
The sum total of what you are saying now, I want to diffuse it or summarize it, is that Nigerians should always look at the message and forget about the messenger. The moment you are trying to look at the messenger, you are bound to read meanings into whatever he is saying. Obasanjo is speaking the minds of Nigeria. He's speaking about the situation of things. If Obasanjo told us that, Yar'Adua was good, and he came out to say he was no longer good, Jonathan was good, it's no longer good, you can only find a job for somebody, you cannot do it for him.
Where is the place of integrity in all of this? Because when you begin to talk about what people should believe in, it must be attached with integrity itself.
That is the integrity.
What is the place of
identifying what is not good and coming to say, well, I said this thing is good, but the way it's performing is no longer good.
Oh, you are saying, as a matter of fact, let me come to Comrade Gideon, as a matter of fact, that personality does not have anything to do with advice, because it appears he, according to him, is offering an advice to the government, to the polity itself.
Let me establish this fact. There are two types of reality in Nigeria: the ruling elite reality, and you and I, a common Nigerian reality. The ruling elite reality, they have some first-class information that is not being diffused to everybody on the street. It is being confined within the ruling elite, and they discuss about it on daily basis. Okay, and they are even scared, okay, to make it public in some. But sometimes, if I have my way to meet some of them, they will plead with us that this information is not meant for public consumption. And you should know, Obasanjo belong to the ruling elite. Okay, there are some facts and information that are so very strong that if it should be thrown to the public scene, you'll be shocked. Okay, now I'm not coming out about Islamization and Fulanization. Okay, I believe he's talking from the ruling, elite reality. Okay, and we should be very, very careful. When these people are talking, they romance and they go in and out with those in government. You and I don't have that privilege. I'm telling you, Coach, today.
Are we saying that Obasanjo is immune to some of the problems we have as insecurity in the country itself? Are we saying he's immune?
No.
That under his administration we had a smooth sail. No. There was no insecurity.
Now, my brother and I said something. Now, we should examine the message. Let's separate the two entities, the messenger and the message. Don't mix it up, cool. Now, the message is very, very fantastic. It's a gospel truth, let me tell you today. But you are looking at the messenger, which is Obasanjo, okay, and you're looking at his personality. That should the messenger, okay, should the message be corrupt, should be clear corrupt because it's coming from the wrong source. So as you are looking at it from no capital no. I'm a Bible scholar very well. There are times God used animal to communicate to human beings. Now, she will not, because animal is speaking to you a good message, you should neglect the message. Is that what they're telling us, Co? But you are referring to his antecedent of Chinese political card, of recommending this one to us, later condemn it, and this and that.
And also pushing for a third-term agenda.
Now,
at that point in time.
At that time, look at me very well. Look at me. Now, the message is very, very timely. the message is accurate. Don't mix it up. But leave the messenger alone. Okay? Let's look at the message this time around. Is it a lie or is it truth? Is it because I've told you already there are two types of, reality. The ruling elite reality and the you and I, common man on the street reality. Most of the time, other than Nigerian reality, what we know, we are very far from the ruling elite. I share my experience now with you that when I have privilege to interact with the ruling elite, okay, they plead with us that this information you have at your hand, is not meant for you to disclose on television, and it's a reality because they have their own perception, their own group. Now, one is not coming here with this issue because it declared that this agenda is a reality about Islamization. It's a reality. Nobody can fault it. Okay, even in the global scene, is a reality. Okay, fluctuation is a reality. The ruling elite, they know it. That's an agenda that's on ground. But how can it materialize? That's another point. Okay, which nobody should remain silent. When Baba is talking, we should give him some courage, but some kudos, because it takes courage for you to come out with this reality. Because for an elder statesman, now look at it. Now, Obasanjo was not the type that remains silent when he says something that's very wrong. No matter how you look at it, during Abacha time, he spoke and condemned what Abacha was doing, and that was what landed him to jail. You remember? But with divine intervention, he came out from prison to the power. Now he is a kind of leader that he expressed his mind, and he has that
something that
right.
keeps popping up in my mind is that why do we have all of this secrecy of information itself when we have the Freedom of Information Act in place? Shouldn't this information be accessible to the public, which makes it easier, for instance, for people who are inclined security-wise that are not in government to offer solutions sometimes?
Yeah, okay.
When it comes to security issue, it's not for public consumption. Security matter should be handled by experts in security, which consists of all these service chiefs, Inspector General of Police, Chief of Army Staff, and some other people. But what we are concerned about now is the assessment of all these people. To what extent have they been able to put into use whatever is arrogated to them as having the intelligence to stop these insurgents in this country? So if I still come back to the point I made earlier, that all the service chiefs, if the head is rotten, the whole body we smell foul. So that means, I'm saying it and I'm repeating it, that if the president is so competent, if Nigerians so much believe in him that as a former military head of state who has been in the military and should know the tactics of stopping all these Boko Haram and insurgents, that he should know that the service chiefs he has employed or he has...
He's not a democratically elected president. So it's different from being a military.
That's what I'm saying. But even as a Democrat, he has all the power to fire and hire. What I'm saying is these people have not performed, which is an evidence that you still need to reassure foreigners that you are safe in our country, whereas we all see the evidence that nobody is safe.
But really, can the president act alone without some sort of
the box on his table? What kind of support are you talking about?
From other arms of government here, we have the National Assembly, for instance.
The National Assembly has got nothing to do with the issue of security, for God's sake.
Oh, okay.
And look at it, even the issue of Magu.
They can't play on someone here.
Even the issue of Magu, who is supposed to be approved by the Senate and by the Rep. Now the government, they have rejected him for various reasons. But the government have said, instead of sacking him or instead of retiring him, we will put him on acting, which no constitution stops us from doing. So the government will always have their way if they want to do something. But to what extent? If Magu or if EFCC is performing very well, we will say yes, the president has used his own way of retaining him. But now it's a failure.
What happens to the principle of checks and balances? You said that the presidency should have called his service chiefs to order
Yes.
or probably sack them, for
Yes.
instance.
Yes.
What happens to other arms of government? Are they keeping mum on this development itself? Insecurity appears to be affecting every facet of our society itself. Are you saying, for instance, that the National Assembly cannot play on someone here, summon those who needed to be summoned, if security is not available in many parts of
Let
the
me
country?
remind you of an ugly incident that happened in this country recently. You remember that all these Meyahati, or what do you call them? They were called, and the government was trying to bargain with them. If we give you 100 billion, will you stop all this Boko Haram? Will you stop all this kidnapping? They are yet to agree. Up to the time is that not an insult on all of us in this
But
country?
what happened to amnesty? Is it not the
Amnesty
same thing with amnesty?
amnesty is quite different from what we are seeing now. A government that is determined to keep Nigerians safe, we not go into negotiating with criminals, for God's sake. If you see them, arrest them and do the right thing. But once you start sitting with them and negotiating, that is why kidnappers are everywhere. That is the main thing now. They don't even stick hands again.
When you talk about negotiations
Yes.
and the rest of it, the government won't come out to tell us, for instance, if they're negotiating or not. For instances where we have a Leah Sharibu that has been in hostility for a very long time now,
Yes.
nobody knows the condition.
Yeah.
In that instance, do you think that the government should also use a stick approach here, not ever considering carrots?
We are not security experts, and I've said this severally. That if Nigeria knows that, or our military men knows that they are not capable of stopping this, they should seek for foreign experts. They should seek for expert advice. They should even invite foreign mission to come and assist us. These are the reasons, because if Nigeria sees this now, they will catch the cold. Whether they like it or not. So there is we don't have to shy away from the fact that we are not capable of stopping Boko Haram.
Comrade Gideon, do you see political will in all of this itself?
Let me first address the issue. I raised an issue. I expect you to trash that issue properly.
Okay.
Islamization, Fulanization. Is it a reality? Is it an agenda? And I told you that time it is a reality. Okay.
What did you see?
Now.
What did you perceive?
Listen. And I told you also it's a global reality. It is not only within the confines of the West Africa alone. Okay, it's an agenda, but I also raise a question: can it translate to reality? That is another point of view, another discussion. Now, some people who are into extremism and they have succeeded to find their way into the corridor of power. Okay, they have been making efforts, okay, not to respect the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who declare that everyone is entitled
Do you have instances? Because you really have to go.
religion.
When you see all of this, do you have examples?
Let me say the case of Leah Sharibu.
Okay.
It's a good example on this platform. Leah Sharibu refused to accept Islam. That was the major reason why he's still in hostage, keep hostage to this extent. And the federal government is fully aware about it. The young dancer was asked, okay, to accept Islam. She declared that I'm not a Muslim. And she stood her ground. Till the day Leah Sharibu is still in their custody. And Leah Sharibu audio voice was released begging President Muhammadu Buhari that please come to my rescue. And to this moment, nothing has been done. Leah Sharibu birthday was celebrated some days ago, 16-year birthday of Leah Sharibu. Now you're asking me, do I have a fat? What do you expect again?
I must say thank you so much to Comrade Ejidiro, Omololu Ejidiro, for coming on the program this evening. And of course, I've been speaking to Dino Deyemi, both public affairs analysts. I must say thank you, gentlemen, for being on Political Talk this evening. And we hope to follow up on every development politically in the country and also fill you in as they come up. My name is Bolabo Famous Cole, wishing you a blessed evening.
I intend to keep my oath and serve as president to all Nigerians. I belong to everybody and I belong to nobody.
That this is an impeachment offense. It's an unfeasible offense and we cannot allow that. We cannot stay there and Nigerians will the assembly will be taken for granted. Nigerians will be taken for granted.
People say aye. Those against say nay. The nays have it.
Impact Africa Television. Explore, entertain, elevate.